Alright, welcome everybody back to Dad's Coffee Break. My name is James, and today I'm taking a break to do something a little bit different. I've been starting to poke around in Kingdoms Reborn again, especially after the December update, and checking out the new features and the new AI tweaks. Interesting note here, it still says on the warnings that AI still needs work. Please ignore them for now. So I haven't played a full game. I haven't really gotten into it with the AI quite yet to see how aggressive they are, but I'm hoping to do a full Let's Play in the next. I'm gonna just turn down this music. That is the music from Alistair Lindsay, who also did the music for RimWorld. For those of you who might not know. But anyway, so I've been starting to poke around in here again, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do a video around selecting a starting location and what my top 5 priorities are to select a good start location and have a good start in Kingdoms Reborn. Now, there's a lot of different strategies that players can take in this game. From focusing on mining a single resource and selling it to the world market, bringing everything else in, to going full farming economy. There's a lot of different strategies. So if this is slightly different from what you do, or if it's drastically different from what you do, let me know what your strategy is down in the comments below, because I'd be interested. I'm really interested to know what the different tactics are out there for playing this game. And granted, take this with a grain of salt because it is December 2020. It is still in early access and it's being updated all the time. So this all could change before the actual full game comes out. So I'm going to go new game. Just going to randomize the seed. Everything else I'm going to keep the same. Oh yeah, I was looking at this too. So when I did my last Let's Play, it was only up to brutal, which is plus 70% consumption now. But now they've, it looks like they added the civilization difficulty tiers. So they have King, Emperor, Immortal, and Deity. Oh, 250% consumption. I might have to play on that and just lose right off the bat, but we'll see. All right, I'm just gonna keep it as normal for right now. I'm not really gonna play the game too much. I'm just gonna take a look at the world. So let's do it. Okay, so cheers to the new beginning. Yeah, that's fine. Cool, no, we are good. Okay, so let's take a look. First, I'm going to zoom out. So taking a look at the full world map, there's a lot of different considerations that you can take into account when selecting a good starting location. But in order to get the best one, I really boiled it down to 5 key points. And I'll be going through all 5 of those today just to kind of explain why a starting location is good. The first and most important point is coal, having access to coal. In the games that I've played, so many different things rely on coal, from heating the homes to needing it in order for production items, things like iron bars, gold bars, tooling, all the way to things even like your bakeries. Your bakeries need coal in order to produce bread. And then beyond that, coal is a resource that you actually get access to immediately at the start of the game. You can start building coal mines in Era 1. Whereas with a lot of these other resources, that's one of the biggest downfalls, is yes, you can decide to go with cocoa, or yes, you can decide to find a settlement right next to some gold. But you're not going to have access to that gold until Era 5. And that's Era 5, I think, on your, or I think Tier 5 on the house upgrade unlocks. So it's either mid game or even late game before you're getting access to a lot of these different resources. But coal is something that you can start taking advantage of right off the bat. And it, like I mentioned before, it comes in handy in a lot of different ways. The other thing that coal does is, especially around heating homes, it really helps supplement your wood supply. So wood, and this will come up in another point later on, but wood is extremely important in Kingdoms Reborn. It's used in a lot of different processes. It's used from construction to farming to even mushroom farming if that was something you were going to do. But coal can help offset your wood usage by using coal to heat your houses instead of just wood. So always start, if you're looking for a resource on the map to start next to coal. It's going to be the strongest and easiest resource to start with right off the bat. Point or tip number 2 is settle on the coastline. So I keep coming over here just because I was looking at the coal, but I'm going to continue to kind of hone in on this coastline right here. But settling on the coastline is extremely important for a number of reasons. One, it allows you to start fishing in the early game. You're going to have limited amount of food sources at the start, but fishing is one of those where they're cheap cards to buy, they're quick to set up, and you can line up a lot of fisheries right on your coast to start bringing in a good supply of food. Now, the other food sources at the start are, I believe, um, fruit gatherers, and they're pretty strong. And then you also have things like mushroom farms, or sometimes you can even unlock cabbage seeds early on. But mushroom farms are going to take wood as an input in order to grow those mushrooms. And fruit gatherers are going to rely on a forest in order to gather that. So if you are in a situation like the desert, you're not going to be able to bring in a lot of food from those other two sources. But fisheries you can set up easily and start bringing in food without any input needed. And there's also a global policy card. I think it's called Fishing Cooperative. I could be wrong on that, but it allows you to get, I think, plus 10% production across all fisheries. So extremely important from just a early food generating standpoint. But the other big point is around trading posts and trading companies. So trading posts or trading ports, depending on if you build it on land or on the coast, are extremely important for trading resources with the open market, um, bringing in supplies of items you don't have access to. And trading ports actually allowed you to trade more items per trade than a trading post. So that's extremely important, especially in the late game. And beyond that, trading companies, so the trading company building, which allows you to trade resources with the open market and it automatically exports and imports what you set it to, they actually get bonuses for being next to trading ports on the coast. They get, I believe there's a reduction in the fee. I could be wrong on that, but there's even a further reduction in the fee with that. So those bonuses alone can really help you in, especially, well, in the early game with bringing in resources you don't have, and in the mid to late game when you're exporting for gold or importing goods you don't have in order to create other goods potentially, or other, and give your people access to other luxuries. So number 2, settle on the coast if you can. Ideally, like I said, with number 1, next to coal. You don't have to have, your first province doesn't have to have coal, but if it's within reach of the next couple provinces, that is a very strong starting location. And the other thing you want to take into account with a starting location, and this goes into the point I made earlier and into my third tip, is access to wood. Having access to an area where you can set up a forester and have it get the most production out of a given area is key. Because like I mentioned earlier, wood is used in almost everything in this game, from construction to farming to growing mushrooms to producing furniture to producing paper, books, you name it, you're gonna need wood. So settle in an area that ideally on the coast has coal and has an area that you can either expand into or is part of a large forest or a large fertile area that you can grow a lot of trees. Because not only can you get a lot of wood out of an area like this, but you can also set up a fruit gatherer to be right next to it. You can set up a beekeeper to be right next to it. And if you have hunting lodges, you can set them up within the forest too, away from your larger town. There's a lot of different things that you can do with a large forested area, but just finding an area that's fertile, that you can grow a lot of trees, potentially set up beekeepers, fruit gatherers is key. And that feeds into tip number 4. Start in an area where you can really expand and grow. Start in an area where there's plenty of flat land in order to so you can expand your town and construct buildings. As far as stone goes, you can set up one quarry per province, and I mean, I played through a few games now, and my quarries have never been depleted. If you're playing for a long time, then that might be something you have to worry about, but all you need is a small mountain like this, and you can set up a quarry on that and have it feeding your town stone for quite a while. So you don't need a lot of mountains. Now, they did add tunnels to the game, which makes it possible to actually settle land on the other side of a mountain. But just take that with a grain of salt because tunnels are not unlocked until Era 4. So even though you may settle here and go, okay, well, we'll expand this way and then we'll expand over here into this forest, you're not going to be able to do that until the late game, and you might need that wood much earlier. Um, so that's tip number 4. Settle in an area where you can expand, where you can grow, ideally next to wood, coal, and the coast, and have the ability to lay out the town in the way that you want. Because that's also another important point is you want the space in order to lay out your town that'll take advantage of some of the bonuses, the adjacency bonuses for your houses and schools and banks. You want to be able to have plenty of room to do that and not feel constricted and not feel like you're losing out on those bonuses. Okay. And then my last point I want to make in determining what makes a good start location is point number 5, and that is other players or other AI towns on the map and settling on a continent or on an island that has other players nearby. Because that's one of the really, I think, defining aspects of this game is that interaction with the other AI towns. And while they're, at least in the few games that I've played, they're not super aggressive, they are being improved as we go through early access. So being able to have a chance to interact with that is going to make your game much more dynamic um, and much more engaging. Some players might not want that, and that's fine, and they can settle, across the continent from them. But I still recommend settling on a continent that has at least a few AI towns, because not only are you going to be able to interact with them maybe by, conquering them or conquering up their territory, having a back and forth fight. Beyond that, you can actually set up inner city roads if they're on the same continent and be able to trade with them. Now, I don't know, and I don't think they've come out with a way in order to trade with towns that are across oceans. But if you're on the same continent, you can set up these inner city roads and be able to trade and gain additional wealth just from trading with them and build a peaceful relationship with them if that's something that you're interested in as well. So that's it. Those are my 5 tips, my 5 top tips for finding a good start location. Number 1, coal. Find coal. Just start near coal. It's used in everything. You need it, and you can get access to it early in the game, and it can help supplement your wood supply. 2, coast. Settle on the coast. Be able to gain access to fisheries right off the bat, and be able to leverage trading ports and trading companies for the full extent of their bonuses. 3 and 4, kind of in tandem, access to wood or access to an area that you can expand into and build foresters in order to set up a good wood production site with fruit gatherers, with beekeepers. And then 4 is, starting in an area where you can expand and really build out your town and lay it out. And then 5, like I said, starting on a continent with other players. Doesn't have to be aggressive, doesn't have to be for conquering purposes. You can start as far away as possible, but start on a continent with other players so you can interact with them via those trade routes and set up even peaceful relationships with them and take full advantage of the uniqueness of this game. Because I really do feel like that is a key point, key differentiator between Kingdoms Reborn and a few other games out there. So that's it. Like I mentioned, let me know what your strategies are down in the comments. I might actually try them out on my next few playthroughs because this game is still, I mean, it just hit early access a couple months ago. I think a lot of there's a lot of strategies to be made, and I think a lot of them are still being developed by the community. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how those evolve and see how these tips and your strategies evolve as they continue to update the game as well. So I hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys were able to take away some points from this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for the next set of videos coming from Dad's Coffee Break. All right, guys. Hope you all doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.